circles. First of all, I am welcoming our Central University of Tamil Nadu's Registrar, Madam Professor Dr. Bhuneshwari Madam, for the inaugural speech. Madam, Dr. Bhuneshwari Madam, please welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Professor Raju, sir, the chief guest of today, Professor P. Murthy, sir, Nodal Officer, 150th birth anniversary celebrations of Mahatma Gandhi, Director for Center for Gandhian Studies, Dean, School of Social Sciences and International Studies, Pondicherry University, Honorable Vice Chancellor Acting of Central University of Tamil Nadu, the honorable participants who are there online, and dignitaries on and off. So I take this opportunity to unfold the highest values which ought to be presented right among the public, to the society in general, by large. The initiative which is happening right on with the leadership of Professor Raju, by the directions of Government of India, the 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, a very prestigious event today, which is being headed by exactly the right person, Professor Murthy, sir. Sir, being the Center for Gandhian Studies of Pondicherry University, will be the righteous person for today's lecture. And this lecture series has imparted great of impact right from yesterday onwards, and also the collaboration with foreign universities, with Central University of Tamil Nadu, is extended. Its own warm and greater heights, right? With and the thoughts which are being deliberated right from yesterday onwards, on and off, is bringing over a very right path, right onto whatever the north and the target which has been affixed. So during this event, I request all the participants to be aware of the lecture which has been made and organized by Central University of Tamil Nadu under the headship of Professor Raju, and with the leadership of our acting Vice Chancellor, Professor Kumaravelan sir, with all of the heads, deans of various schools and the participants here. So this is a time where we could just show our gratitude right to the nation with and holding all the thoughts of Mahatma Gandhi. Jai Hind. I take this opportunity to inaugurate this particular function for today. So the lecture series starts now. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Now I am want to Bhupati, Assistant Professor, Department of English. Bhupati.
Yes, sir. I'm here, sir.
Bhupati, please introduction the speaker's introduction. Please,
yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir. You are audible.
And Professor Murthy, sir. Everyone. So, University. He is the, as it has been said, is the director of Gandhian Studies, Dean School of National Studies, and he is also the nodal officer for the celebration of 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi at Pondicherry University, and he specializes in defense and security studies, international relations, peace and disarmament, in the national building and human development. He has more than 12 books credit, and he has 3 dozen articles for his credit. He has some he widely traveled many countries, but also many parts of India. Somebody who has been constantly talking about Gandhi, has been instilling the ideologies and the understanding of Gandhi to young minds, especially to students and faculty members. So we as a to have a smooth. Thank you. Now, Professor Murthy sir to deliver the address.
I
Bhupati,
think audio is okay. Hello?
yes,
The audio is okay, clear?
yes, sir. Everything is okay.
It's clear.
Okay, sir.
So your audio is missing.
Sir, your audio. Murthy sir. Murthy sir. Sir, unmute your mic.
Sir,
No.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay.
Yeah. I think it is.
Some network problems. Then
audio. Sir, audio. Hello.
Is it coming now?
now audible, sir.
Okay. See,
Thank you.
sometimes
Again problem. Sir, problem. Sir, again, there problem. ஆமா சார். Hello. Same problem. Sir,
Headset எடுத்துட்டு சொல்லுங்க.
sir, headset disconnect பண்ணுங்க.
Headset எடுத்துட்டு நேரா பேச சொல்லுங்க.
Direct, sir, remove your headset, sir. Yes.
Speak directly,
now
sir.
is it coming?
Yes,
Now
sir.
it's okay.
Now it's okay.
Yes, sir.
Now it's
Yes, sir.
okay.
Okay, it's okay, no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Without headset,
Okay.
you
Go ahead. I'm going ahead. Okay. Now,
yeah.
see, I'm very happy to be here because the headphone is making some problem here. Now that I removed my headphone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, see, for the last 2 years, our journey started by October 2nd, 2018, and it will go on and on. It will end by 2nd October 2020. 2 years we are supposed to celebrate, glorifying Mahatma's principles, especially spreading this message among youngsters. We have conducted so many seminars, so many conferences, so many competitions on Mahatma's principles, by involving college students, university students, and school students, higher secondary school students in this part of this country. I'm very happy to be part of the celebration that the Central University of Tamil Nadu is, involved in now. Especially when I was asking about, this particular event, our dean, our Narayan Raju, talked to me. He said, "Sir, we are sincerely celebrating not only for, spreading the message. We are also planning to establish permanent connectivity, so as to have a great Gandhian center in this university and try to spread the message among youngsters." By 2004, after meeting Abdul Kalam ji, I started thinking of Gandhian studies actually. So the Gandhian Studies Center created by 2006 in our university and started, spreading the message, not for degree or not for diploma we started. We started the center to, spread the information of Mahatma Gandhi. So that is how the center started. Since 2006, we have been working on this line. We are spreading the message of Mahatma Gandhi to different part of the countries, including in Tamil Nadu universities. I was in Anna universities. I was in Manoன்மணியம் Sundarnar universities. Now that I am in this university, this journey is going, for the last, say, more than now 15 years. Now, this function is very significant because the government of India decided to have this function in order to, celebrate the 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi in a fitting manner. That also took some of us to South Africa and to the core area of Mahatma Gandhi, Pietersburg, the man who started his journey on 7th June 1893 to South Africa in a young age. And there he encountered so many kind of controversial situation, and that forced him to start non-violence movements. That all you know. The non-violence movement started for defending the justice of people, the common cause of the people. And that is how Mahatma Gandhi involved in building these movements. From 1893 to 1915, he was staying in South Africa, encountering so many problems, especially the man who went for fighting for Indian settlers there. He happened to be the fighter for the humankind. By 1915 onwards, if you just look at when he came back to India, he started involving in the freedom struggle, and he started building various movements also in Indian settings. So specifically speaking, his life setting can be divided into two, broadly speaking. First phase is from 1893 to 1915 and 1915 to 1948. Only these two phases, if you just look at Mahatma's activities, you will understand that how much struggle that he had to build a movement that turned out to be a greatest movements of the world, and now entering into United Nations General Assembly in the name of UN Millennium Development Goal and UN Sustainable Development Goal, all these things. You are very much, advantageously utilizing Mahatma's principles for the betterment of humankind. So Mahatma has constructed doctrines very consciously. If you see the Immanuel Kant doctrines, 1794, Immanuel Kant, the greatest philosopher, who was highlighting about the learning process, like, escaping from the immaturity. The learning process is escaping from the maturity. Shakespeare also started talking about the learning processes involving a person to escape from ignorance. So the stage number one is ignorance, and the stage number two, Shakespeare 1560s and Immanuel Kant 1794, as I told you. These two gentlemen were highlighting about ignorance and immaturity, the inbuilt immaturity of humankind. That is what highlighted by Immanuel Kant. And Shakespeare started that there was some first phase. Actually, they were facing a first phase, understanding phase, idea phase, and learning process for something to do with ignorance. But after learning 300 years after, the learning process supposed to escape from immaturity of mankind. And for this two important divide, Mahatma Gandhi has given a solid concept called self-realization. If you don't realize yourself, self-realization is the best scientific mechanism that can take care of both escape from ignorance and escape from, the so-called immaturity, inbuilt human immaturity. You all know there are so many barriers today in social systems. You got so many barriers in economic system, political system. The day that the nation got formed up, we say in international studies, 1648 onwards, the nation started emerging. The political organs called nation states started emerging. Even now, there is no viability, there is no panacea for humankind. That all things were very carefully studied by Mahatma Gandhi. The many stalwarts fought. You have got a great thinkers, including Karl Marx. Karl Marx came and he was also aiming at various tenets. And 1848, he came out with manifesto, political manifesto. That is also sometimes called political economic manifesto. All these things were very much not viable. And Mahatma Gandhi started spreading the message of self-realization and self-reform. These two tenets, based on this self-realization and self-reform, he started his doctrines constructing. He started his doctrine, especially he has come out with 6 important doctrines in this world. They are all connected with various propositions that Mahatma Gandhi later on encountered. The first one is Swadesi. I'm just saying this for the betterment of the students community here. First one is Swadesi. Swadesi is nothing but self-love. If you don't love yourself, so many people of the world today, they don't know, even the literate and illiterate, they don't know how to manage your own, prosperity. That means if you don't love yourself properly, you don't know how to come out of your complications. You have to manage your time, you have to manage your energy, you have to manage your space. Test analysis in management, studies, we talk about test analysis, time management, energy management, space management. It was also encountered by a great man, E is equal to man. The E is equal to man is Einstein. Einstein was talking about test analysis. Mahatma also talked about test analysis. That is why in management studies, Mahatma is rated to be a #1 guru of management studies. Management mantra is bestowed with Mahatma's principles. The customer relations, the demand-centric approach of economy, the permanent economy, all things highlighted by Mahatma Gandhi. Nirvana economy, coming out, with various complications and erecting a sustainable economy. The Kumarappa economy, all these things came into existence in this. This is what in the later stage Mahatma talks about Purna Swaraj. When a humankind is entering into, economic freedom, you are entering to Purna Swaraj. That is how he visualized. For all such things, you have to first love yourself. If you don't love yourself, sustainable way and morally, value-based love, if you don't do it, you cannot go to the second stage called Swaraj stage. Swaraj stage is a very important stage where you are confident and ruling yourself. Self-rule. First self-love, second self-rule. If a person who is loving yourself personally in a sustainable manner, you can erect yet another doctrinal construction, that is, Swaraj, self-rule. When you are successful in self-rule, Mahatma says, extend the rule. That is Gram Swaraj. As you all know, Gram Swaraj is another important area that Mahatma Gandhi explored. And he had a dream for village. He had visualized village, how village should be. Nobody, to the extent that Mahatma thought about, could not match Mahatma. Even today, it is not my kind of statement. Nelson Mandela says. Nelson Mandela used to say that Mahatma is the ultimate thinker who talks about the village to the maximum. Based on that, you find the latest personality like Abdul Kalam ji. He talks about providing urban amenities in rural area, thinking of villages. The urban-centric people are well off. The such facilities not available with rural people. For that, Abdul Kalam devised this scheme, PURA scheme, providing urban amenities in rural area. This scheme is drawn from Mahatma's lesson. That's what he says. Such thinking was inbuilt in Gram Swaraj. In Gram Swaraj, he started, constructing a gram as a sustainable village, and for which he said that village should be dependent, each other, interdependent. It has to encourage other village, and other village has to take up this neighboring village. All this interdependent village system that you wanted to explore. If you are successful in this stage, Mahatma said, you go to the other stage. That is nothing but, you know, say Panchayat Raj stage. Panchayat Raj stage is collection of villages. So many villages together, you take care of Panchayat unit, and Panchayat units should take care of other Panchayat units' welfare, and both of them should work in a hand-in-hand way, and so that they can erect sustainable order for meeting out their demand. So Mahatma also highlighted demand structure very carefully. Today, people talk about market economy, all these things. You know, a great person called Edgeworth, a Western economist, father of Western economy, and a very classical person. He was highlighting the multiplication of wants. So multiplication of wants very, very important to build a dynamic structure of demand structure so that the economy will go on flourishing. So you need more wants. Mahatma said, if you have more wants, it will bring lots of problems. You have to, wants has to be restricted. Mahatma said, restriction of wants is very important. You have to restrict wants. Whatever you need, you have to have, but whatever you are ambitious to have, you should avoid that thing. That all things he constructed very simply, very simple manner he constructed this. After erecting this third important layers, that is, then if you are satisfied with that, you go for, you see, the next stage called, Purna Swaraj stage. Purna Swaraj is, looked in different way. By economists, they say that Purna Swaraj is something to do with economic freedom. Some people say that it is extension of Panchayat Raj. It is something to do with the state. It is something to do with the whole society. Like that they feel. But whatever may be, but the construction of Mahatma is idea-centric. He said very clearly, if you don't have Panchayat Raj very carefully constructed, and you cannot attain the sustainable state order. State order means, for example, you see, the entire state, if you need to have a kind of welfare structure built, you have to be more careful in understanding about the last village. The last man, Antyodaya. That's what Mahatma always highlighted. The last village has to be highlighted in the center of decision making. The last person within the village has to be in the center of decision making. That is called the oceanic circle model. Mahatma highlighted oceanic circle model. If you don't have oceanic circle model, nothing but whatever decision you take, you should think about the last person. If it is connected with the Panchayat, you should think about the last village. All such thinking, very, very new. It was very much creating a great, kind of growth structure in Africa. Mugabe was highlighting Mahatma's model in all the African countries. Even if you go to South Africa, you'll find Mahatma's, influence. In Pietermaritzburg, we were all visiting last year, and we have found villages still having Mahatma's sustainable economic orders, their sanitation and their economy, the way that they maintain the garden, the Bhumidan, all these things are Mahatma Gandhi's principles. Still it is working. And if you are so happy in this Panchayat Raj system, then you go for the extension again. That is nothing but Sarvodaya. Sarvodaya is welfare of all. It is not Mahatma Gandhi's principle has to be restricted. Mahatma always think about the welfare of all concept. Welfare of all is nothing but Indians alone. He says that welfare of all as communism. Marx said the communism cannot exist in a system, geographical systems. But even then they brought into Russia, but it could not withstand. Even the Chinese are facing, the communism may fall down sometime. Communism may be rooted out. This is a kind of analysis, political analysis they talk about. See, that way, Mahatma said nothing. We have to have a sustainable world order based on non-violent approaches. Anything has to be restricted. If you go beyond the non-violent order, you will enter into violent zone. That has to be eradicated. For that reason, he said sustainable Panchayat Raj, if you build, it will definitely help to erect Sarvodaya order. If Sarvodaya order is emerging, you go for Ram Rajya. These are the very six. Ram Rajya, some people, they understand. Sometimes they understand, sometimes they misunderstand. Ram Rajya is nothing but a sustainable, rule that you are erecting for the entire world, global village. They call it global village. Ram Rajya for Mahatma is a holy rule. Like Plato, those days he was thinking about Plato, Aristotle period, they were thinking about philosophical kingdom. Similarly, Mahatma was highlighting about Ram Rajya. Ram Rajya was, narrowly looked by many scholars. They criticize Mahatma sometimes. It is not like, a holy rule. Ram should come for rule and all. It's not religious kind of interpretation. Ram Rajya is nothing but a global village. Ram Rajya is nothing but a perfect person. A perfect rule has to be given for the governance. The governance should be based on perfect philosophy. Such kind of things were thought about by Mahatma. So these 6 important doctrines really hunted the world. By 1995, and many United Nations, people involved in UN General Assembly, countries involved in General Assembly, and they were all thinking of erecting sustainable order. Then they thought by 1992 itself, this movement started to construct human development approaches. United Nations started thinking about human development approaches by 1992 only. And for that, where to go about? They said, no, let us bring in all the lessons that drawn by Mahatma Gandhi, we will talk about it. The sustainable order, based on Mahatma's principles, they started pinning actually. That is how the UN MDG came into existence. United Nations Millennium Development Goal. That was nothing but Mahatma's recommendations. And later on, they also constructed these principles into United Nations Millennium Sustainable Development Goals, UN SDG, UN MDG, UN SDG. When we had UN MDG, the absolute poverty and relative poverties were highlighted. How to eradicate absolute poverty, relative poverty, if not absolute, relative poverty at least. The 1 square meal per person or the 3 square meals. At least you avoid this 1 square meals per person. That also could not be attained by India. By 2017, our former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh went to United Nations General Assembly. He said that we need 2 more years to attain this goal, but we could not attain this goal. And still we are in poverty, and there are people living under poverty line, and we could not come out of it. The entire world is suffering from poverty syndrome. In this, all things were addressed from the prism of Mahatma Gandhi, in 1990 itself. By 1995, then only the globalization process, when it got into a very great web called WTO. You all know WTO, World Trade Organization. January 5th, it was signed, and that then onwards, the globalization started influencing the world nations. Accordingly, all the nations were liberating their economy. They started diluting their traditional economy. For example, India half-heartedly entered in the 90s, and it could not attain the sustainable economy, and it could not even eradicate poverty at any level, absolute as well as relative poverty. And if it is India facing such problem, you think about African countries. There are so many African countries. You have got around 195 countries in this world. Most of the countries, developing countries, they are not having sustainable, growth. And the growth and development is not put in the constant mode. The mode that you are creating sometimes goes against the real people, and real people are, the growth. You may think that it's in the paper. The stock, for example, food stock is in the paper, but the distribution side, if you say, the distribution is unevenly, and therefore people are suffering. Such anomalies were very much easily dealt by Mahatma Ji. That is why Mahatma talked about pyramidal model. How to go for understanding about this distribution system, go with pyramidal side, and put the people at the top, and people should be at the top, and people should not be suppressed on all such things. All the growth, all the welfare related messages should be first to reach out to the common people, then only it has to come down to the bottom level. So that way, the pyramidal model also very much highlighted. The 2 important models that Mahatma Gandhi constructed was pyramidal model and oceanic circle model. These are all very important models, because most of the economists, they were now thinking about, for example, Elinor Ostrom, a great lady, political economist, who had Nobel Prize. She was highlighting, when I was entering into macroeconomy, that is more and more, I wanted to study about the microeconomy. The macroeconomic solution is available in microeconomy. As once upon a time, people were telling the solution for science lies in humanity. Without humanity, science is not workable. Without humanity thinking, a scientist cannot be scientist. That is what Mahatma highlighted. With science without humanity is not science. See, politics without principles is not politics. Like that, he has got highlighted 7 sins. In that, you find the science and in the humanity symptom it was so workable for social sciences and humanity studies. So this area, of course, realized by Mahatma Gandhi in the especially in the 1920s itself, when he was involved in writing a book called Hind Swaraj. Hind Swaraj book is very much involving the civilizational aspect of India, the traditional strength of India today. The new education policy highlights about the traditional strength of Indian education systems. And it is something to do with the thinking of Mahatma Gandhi. It is not that we have to agree totally blindly about the new education policy, but there are certain bottlenecks. We have to just avoid that. But at the same time, if you look at the recommendations that new education policy in the context to sustainable education, you find that there are some workable areas. There are some workable areas in which you can see the Mahatma's thinking process. The traditional aspect is very much important. That is what thought about by Mahatma in the 1920s itself. When he was writing about the home rule, Indian home rule, that is called, Hind Swaraj. It is one way called Indian home rule, and another title is, Swaraj, Hind Swaraj. So this important book is ultimately very much highlighted by Gandhian scholars, and this is of course equal to that of the book known as Capital of Karl Marx. Okay, Das Kapital. So similarly, it's a small book. It's a very, very small book. It deals with all pertinent areas that are important for the world community, the welfare of all, the civilization of humankind. All these things, very, very important. In this contest, Stephen Pinker, a fellow called Stephen Pinker, very recently in 2019 came out a very important book. He talks about 4 important propositions. First, he says reasons. Second, he says science. After science, he talks about humanism. After humanism, he talks about progress. 4 important propositions he comes out with in 2018, in which he says Mahatma's analysis. First, reason. Reason is nothing but truth centric. Mahatma was very close to truth. My experiments, self-experiment, is nothing but truth. The truth has to be explored. Exploring truth will take centuries. That's what Mahatma says. When you are not reasoning out, you cannot attain the science. When you are not reasoning out the one that you are encountering, you cannot attain the science. When the science is not attained, the humanism may not emerge. The humanism may not emerge. So when the humanism is not emerging, the progress that you are making is not going to be sustainable one. These are all the things by 2019, scholar like Stephen Pinker, he talks about connecting with Mahatma's philosophy. In fact, Mahatma's philosophy is in the context of sustainable development, untouchable actually. Nobody can go without touching the concept that thrown by Mahatma Ji. Therefore, these all orders, sustainable orders that Mahatma Gandhi constructed, has to be proliferated among younger generations. Younger generations should more and more read on peace and non-violence area. Maybe today people may not be so much interested to know about Mahatma Ji. You see, personally speaking, I am nothing to do with Mahatma Ji. I am a physics man. I researched on weapon systems. I was researching on nuclear weapons. I was researching on SLBM, submarine launched ballistic missiles, arms control treaty systems. But later I realized that unless until you bring Mahatma's principles to the world cannot have panacea. There is no escape from Mahatma's philosophy. That is the reason why we erected this center and started talking about Mahatma's principles and taking this principle to the different. You got a person sitting here as an economist. I see in his Velmurugan. A person came from Pondicherry University. Both of us, we were working on this area, sustainable economic order area, and we launched so many seminars for the benefit of the younger generations. We brought so many stalwarts to interact with the students community, and therefore I am very happy that our Central University of Tamil Nadu is very much involved in this proliferation work. It's not easy. Proliferation work among students these days, market force world, materialistic world, bringing Mahatma's principle to the students' pavilion. It's very, very tough. But you have to go ahead, and because the entire world is looking for panacea from Mahatma's principles, and only Mahatma's principles appearing to be operational. It is workable actually, because that is why Mahatma is wanted to be a number one theoretician, social theoreticians. So the entire theoretical settings that in social science you have, of course, all led by Mahatma Ji. Any area you go, Mahatma will never leave all the areas. Environmental friendliness, he talks about environmental friendliness. He talks about traditional values. He talks about, science. Talks about science, workable science, in sanitation, customer relations, the demand structure building, the supply side of the economy, all seen very pakka. Actually, Mahatma, by utilizing the traditional economic system of India, he utilized his Sanadana Dharma economy. He talks about, you see, not that it's a religious concept actually. He says that sustainable economy will emerge when you are so conscious about your society, when you are unconscious about your society, social systems. You see, today you got a sizable number of people, left from the mainstream. The mainstream economy is not taking care of, sizable number of people living in, villages, and their economic status, their economic welfare should be addressed, for which you need to address, of course, with our students community by highlighting about the principles of Mahatma Gandhi. And more we can have. By 12:30, I am supposed to attend another meeting actually in our university. And moreover, I was in the initial stage. I was telling our Raju, we have to have continuous connectivity with various universities, having Gandhian studies centers. And it is not for offering degree you have to create Gandhian studies. We have to have Gandhian studies for proliferating ideas of Mahatma Gandhi among students community. Youngsters are left out. That's the reason why the government of India felt like starting these movements. It's a social movements like they feel. Today you find in new education policy, highlighting about the training of teachers should be bestowed with the university itself. There cannot be any separate institution for training teachers. The B.Ed, I'm talking about B.Ed, M.Ed. And the government of India is in the new education policy says better not to have institutions like B.Ed institutions or separate unit for training the teachers. The university itself can involve. You see, in the COVID-19 period, you are having more responsibility. Common responsibility is important. Human responsibility is common responsibility. If you are not humanly, you cannot be human responsibility person. You have to be first human, then you have to be human. Then only the development takes place. The human approach is very important than anything else in this world. More and more people from African countries, they realize about Mahatma, they draw lessons from Mahatma, and they try to implement. For about billions of dollars, maximum dollars invested in America for studying Mahatma's, philosophy. You've got number of scholars working in Mahatma's principles. Most of the scholars very advantageously using the Mahatma's principles for their own betterment. They don't say openly, but mostly Mahatma's principles at work in different stages of Western economy. Today, sustainable economy, if you just look at now a concept called economic zone in China. You all know our economist is sitting there. Economic zone is China is something, some scholars like Krugman and Lawrence Friedman, all these guys were talking about in the modern parlance. They all talk about sustainability based economy. The profit that you are making, if it is not sustainable, the profit can go sometimes against your economic, the very base of economy will be attacked. That is what we experimented in the context to Western economy. The Wordsworth economy, the Edgeworth economy is challenged. Edgeworth economy lived up to Adam Smith economy. Adam Smith, another modern economy, father of economist of Western economy, and he challenged the wealth of nation man, accumulation of wealth, capitalism. See, all these things were challenged. Mahatma Gandhi challenged very easily. It's not that I'm saying this. We have got substantial arguments put forward by many great scholars against the so-called progress of Western economy, the so-called profit making of Western economy. Profit making cannot be sustainable one. Profit making cannot be permanent one. American economy is war economy. The war economy is now globalization process. In the globalization process, if you just look at very easily, if you look at the war economy is in the globalization process, every nation is forced to follow American model. You see, every economy today is simply modeling. Those days in 1960s and 70s, we were opposing IMF, we were opposing World Bank, we were opposing, the American Bretton Woods system. See, the economic ultimate, decision that we have to take is in the economic field. These were all experimented in the world community. You find economic challenges were there, and Indians were very much railing against Western economy. From the very beginning, if you just look at 1970s, they were fighting for new economic world order based on developing countries' understanding, but that could not be sustained. They could not attain, and this all things were now diluted. We are living in a new world after the collapse of Soviet Union, after the unification of Europe. We are in a new world. The world is led by LPG, as you all know. The liberalization, privatization, globalization, the market economy, the market archers economy, and Reagan economy dominated. Unfortunately, that we are in the footstep of globalization led by Western economy. That many people say not sustainable. Only the Chinese are challenging, creating economic zone, inviting American economy into Chinese economy. 1972 onwards, if you look at Chinese economy, influenced by American capitalist economy, they were all put in an economic zone. China is managing American economy very brilliantly till now. But today, they are having some problem, of course, because of various reasons. Maybe South China Sea, maybe the way that Chinese are involving into Indian area, the Eastern Ladakh, all these things are there. But even then, this all sustainable thinking that if you look at, finally, ends with Gandhian philosophy. That is why the sustainable order has to be erected based on Mahatma's principles that will lead for welfare of all. I think this is the kind of ideas that I wanted to throw so as to provoke you guys to ask some few questions so that I can answer and escape from your side to our side. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I am calling participants. Can you, any participants?
How many participants? How many participants?
I'm checking, sir, but it is less, sir. Less. But Srinivas is in line. Srinivas,
Good morning, sir.
sir, any question?
Sir.
Selam Srinivas Rao.
Yes.
Yeah. Rauji. Yes.
Even with the how to understand the success
Oh, network problem.
Ah.
I think, sir,
contradiction with the Muslim League and with the RSS and with the Hindu Mahasabha. So in this context, how to understand the Gandhian philosophy to lead towards the India, sir?
Acha, you are highlighting RSS and the BJP. Hello?
Sir. No, sir. There is no political intention in that. My question is very clearly, a Gandhi is a personality who belongs to everyone.
Yeah.
And I believe in strongly the Gandhian philosophy taught me that patience is the weapon. I believe strongly in that. Patience is the weapon with Gandhiji.
Yeah.
But by
Yeah.
1955, the Gandhiji followed the same thing. But finally, he is not belongs to anyone. Seems to be because the Congress is not taking, and he is having a conflict with the Muslim League, and he is having a conflict with RSS. He is having a conflict with the Hindu Mahasabha also. So how to understand that his philosophy moved towards forward in 1947 to construct, sir?
Yeah, you are see, you are to some extent you are correct, because somehow in the last phase Mahatma he himself says my things were missed out. If I committed mistake, I should be burdened. I should be taken in other frame. Whatever I committed mistakes, you should don't go by that. What I am now saying, or what I am saying, propounding the later stage, you may accept it. In that connotation only he talks about the if you want to have a change, you have to be a change. You are supposed to be in the change mode. Be a change yourself. This is what Karl Marx also told it differently. Karl Marx said very clearly, what he said, everything to be changed. You see, simply speaking, we are academicians, na? We can speak very openly, no problem. Everything to be changed. Who said? Marx, Karl Marx, a great revolutionary, a man who propounded 1848 Wala, Manifest Wala, Manifest Man. So that's a number one political economist, Karl Marx. He said, nothing doing, go and establish, the welfare of all based on communism. Okay, socialism, all these things directing towards socialism. Very simple. According to his experiment, he did it. According to Mahatma's experiment, he said very clearly one thing: let us not go for bloodshed revolution. That is the only difference he had. And he said the change is taken, but how to change? He said, if you want to have change, be a change yourself. That is why I started self-realization and self-reform. Unless until you have the self-realization yourself and self-reform yourself, you cannot erect a sustainable order. Very simple order, he said. This is what happened in the world. What happened to Soviet Russia? You see, it could not sustain. Anytime Chinese communism will fall down. You may think like that. You see, Chinese communism may fall down. All the progressive forces that earlier days thought about now becoming loose forces. They are not sustainable forces. Maybe Chinese are defending their economic interests or national interests or political interests for quite long time. Maybe they are going to lose by a person called George Rothschild, American strategist. He says by 2036 China will not exist. The country, if it is existing or if not existing, not matter for us. What has to be existing? A philosophical moorings that talks about welfare of humankind should exist. That philosophical mooring, everyone is agreeing. Mahatma Gandhi's philosophical mooring, nothing but Mahatma. Mahatma can only provide panacea. Talk about internal complication will come and go. Maybe RSS misused him, or Congress misused him, or anyone misused him, or anyone misunderstood him, or abused him. But that doesn't matter. As a person, as an academic person, as an academic student, or academic researcher, academic professor, what we should do is the ethos that Mahatma built comparatively very, very tall, uncomparable. Self-experiment. You don't talk about personal weakness of Mahatma Ji. So he was a humankind. He was a simple man like you and me. He encountered a lot of complication also. Not that he is a holy man or something like that. The point is very clear. If you just compare with any leaders, any philosophy erected by anyone, that is why I started talking about Shakespearean, understanding on ignorance. And also I came out with, after 300 years, for almost 300 years, Immanuel Kant understanding, 1794 understanding of Immanuel Kant, escaping from immaturity, inbuilt immaturity. So the learning process, the growth process seen differently in different phases. Mahatma Gandhi set two important phases, and that took care of all phases of development, all periods, the intellectuals, expression very, very easily. It took very simply, अरे self-realize करो and reform करो. How many of us are interested now? Tell me. I'm just posing for youngsters like you. How many of us interested for self-reform and self-cut, haircut? Think about it. If you are going for self-haircut, what will happen? Eradication of caste system will emerge. Caste system will be no out. And Gandhi said, to Ambedkar very clearly, Ambedkar ji, I am also an ordinary man. I am only talking about social movements we have to have. But reservation movement will not help. What is happening today in Indian politics? Tell me. What is happening? It was misunderstood. See, Mahatma is a tall man, such a sacrosanct man. How you will commit mistakes? We should believe him. Unless until you believe somebody, you cannot, erect wall in defense of him. Washington is still applauded. Abraham Lincoln applauded. In Western society, it is sad. Whereas in Indian system, we quickly enter into criticism. Very easy area. See, academician always enticed for criticism. The criticism, people think the critical man is a great man. It's not like that. Sustainable man has to be so scientific, so flexible. He has to take everything. I should be like window. Air should come, small air should come, thunderstorm should come, all should go in through me. Salaram, I should be salaram. I should be a window. Some things like that. Mahatma said very clearly, I am not building any ism here. I am a simple Atmi. I am not Mahatma. I am not Mahatma. I am a simple man. Whatever I came across already available like rock and soil in this country. And I am simply coming across. I am now constructing certain doctrines, systematical way, in a scientific way. You can be used and misused or abused. This is not my business. Constructing is my business. I am constructing the house. People may come and say, if you want to destroy, you should destroy. Very clearly said. I am not bothered. I am for constructing the house for the humankind. If they want to use properly, use it. Otherwise, misuse it. That is what Mugabe said. Mahatma, the dream that Mahatma had, has to be implemented in Namibia. Most of the South Africans, you go to South Africa, I enjoyed South Africa, staying there, and they are more close to Mahatma. Peter Matisbach, Durban, I found the youngsters more and more taking the flag of Mahatma and very proud marching towards, various movements actually. And so many sustainable movements are constructed based on who has given principal demonstration of the world, strike, the rules of strike defined by Mahatma Gandhi. Demonstration defined by Dharna, defined by Mahatma Gandhi. The work, labor work, defined by Mahatma Gandhi. Most of the fellows astonished. The sanitation, defined by Mahatma Gandhi. Biomass, defined by Mahatma Gandhi. Think about it. See, these are the plus area, plus point. You should always think about the plus. Murthy sir may commit mistakes. You have to enjoy me the positive side only. Negative side, everyone is like that. So that is the reason why we have to flourish Mahatma's principles. That is why this 150th birth anniversary is front. So the government of India decided more and more we have to talk about Mahatma in a free manner, not in a very blind way or unscientific way. Free way you talk, and people are started now coming to us. For example, I'm telling for the last 20 years I reached out to 3 lakhs people, 3 lakh students in Pondicherry and Tamil Nadu. For the last 18 years now, after starting my Gandhian Center. Now for the last 2 years now, our Vice Chancellor made us reach out for 6,000 students. Last week we had 1,036 students. I just informed your Dean, Narayan sir, Raj sir, knows. 1,036 students I invited in the meeting, through live Google Meet. And, Google also 250 fellows. The rest of the fellows are connected with live YouTube. Super flavor. See, you have to enjoy. It's a movement, social thinking, social movements. So it is like panacea kind of things. Holy, it's like, Mahatma, Salt March May, you just see the moment that we entered, there are some 6 fellows following him. And then the way that he was moving, all fellows were following. Most of the movements were constructed by Mahatma, by women only. Women sustainability came into being because of Mahatma. The sociability, the women empowerment, you may say negatively sometimes Mahatma is a social man, self-experiment man. He was so much enticed by women community. And he was the one equally talking about women's rights in this world. Excepting Mahatma, can anyone talk about women's rights, anyone's rights? The lady who goes with the jewels and all in the midnight, safely coming back. That India I dream. Who said that? No one said. The thinking process of Mahatma is highly applauded by many people. UN General Secretary talks about it. He says that more and more lessons we have to draw from Mahatma ji. Pura, as I told you, Abdul Kalam ji, M.S. Swaminathan ji, Amartya Sen, the justice, idea of justice man, the man who has written book on idea of justice, talks about Mahatma's sustainability. Elena Rostam, as I told you, the political economist who got Nobel Prize, talks about the sustainability. Macroeconomic solution lies in microeconomy. What is microeconomy? It is people economy, village economy, individual economy, family economy. If family economy is not sustainable, society economy is not sustainable. And if social economy is not sustainable, definitely state will not be sustainable. But then quagmire will be there, confusion will be there, lots of confusion will be there. The cycle of violence will start. Then the state will be forced to go for, Western way. This is what happened. The village Swaraj aims, even today, not implemented. Gujarat tried, could not. Rajasthan tried, could not. Tamil Nadu is trying, not at all reaching. Andhra not trying. What? The Swaraj, that village rule. Who is thinking now? Tell me. As the youngsters, I'm just saying this. See, we should take the positive side of Mahatma ji, and there it's a ocean. You can enjoy. If you fish in the ocean, only big fish will come. Mahatma is a ocean. If you want big fish, you have to get into Mahatma's ocean. You don't go to pond, you will get small fish. Mahatma is a ocean. Many people, Western fellows are enjoying big fish here. I'm telling openly this. Many Westerners, scholars, they're enjoying big fish by putting their, they're catching net into Mahatma's ocean. Mahatma is a ocean. So this is how you have to look. It is maybe now from the perspective of mine, I'm saying, but it is really needed for this world, because we are living in a COVID-19 post-COVID world order. We are entering into post-COVID world order. We have lost 8 lakh people just because of missing out of traditional lifestyle. Why India is not losing so many people that they were imagining? Many people were expecting India losing many people, but we have not lost because of the immune system that we have got, the traditional lifestyle that we have got. These all things should be exploited. The more that you realize about traditional factors, the strength is there, the sustainability is there, and you can lead the world. This is what Mahatma really propounded through Indian Home Rule. Arnold Toynbee, a great scholar, historian, Arnold Toynbee say, if you don't involve Indians to help the world cannot escape from complications. The world civilization is lying in the hands of Indians. Am I not proud? I should be proud. Arnold Toynbee says, Indian civilization is the best civilization which can protect the world civilization. What is happening? The same thing, Huntington theory. One Huntington theory is also there highlighted. Civilization going against civilization. Civilization at classes. He says that it is all because of self-ambition. Ambitious economy cannot survive. Ambitious politics, ambitious economy, ambitious social system will not sustain. That is why we talk about in this post-COVID-19 world order, you have to at least more and more talk about traditional values of India, traditional value of a country. Even if the Americans are having plus points, we will agree with it. Chinese, yes, we agree. China, Japan, we agree. But who is having more should be given rewards. Did we get any rewards so far? Indians contributed more, but we have not got rewards. You just imagine. It is all because of our divided house. We are divided because we are not glorifying our fellow man. Your neighbor is looked as Pakistani. I am telling always to my students, your neighbor is looked, because caste system. Are you have a nearby fellow, is that fellow, don't go to his house. That is treated as Pakistani. Most of during South Africa time, Parsi fellows settled down in South Africa. They projected that they are from Persian countries. Indians, but whereas Muslim fellows settled in South Africa, they were projected they are Arabs because they were called as coolies and Samis. Think about that. Our coolie forester. Mahatma was branded as a coolie forester, coolie farmer. See, look at that. That is why these people settled down from India. Muslims, they used to claim that we are Arabs. And Parsi fellow, they will say, I'm from Persia. To escape from this, discrimination, Mahatma was fighting for that. The fight started for Indian rights, but ended with rights for world people. The welfare of all, world, Sarvodaya, Ramrajya. Very beautiful, actually. Beautiful thinking, beautiful construction. Nobody can dispute with Mahatma Gandhi. I'm convinced with that. I'm a strategist. I'm a battlefield strategist. I'm a strategist person, as I told you, physics man. I'm a physics man involved in weapon systems. I did my PhD and all in Jawaharlal University in weapon systems, disarmament. All this thing ended because I felt I have to bring Mahatma lessons to the world community. For the last 20 years, pivotally we are working. I'm enjoying. See, this is how you have to look at it. All solutions available to Mahatma Ji. Thank you very much. I think one question is super questions. You asked very good. Anybody, any questions, sir?
I'll try, sir. Anybody is there? Any question? Yes, sir. Sir, one more question, sir. He is our head of the department, Hindi, Dr. Rajaratnam.
A blue shirt man.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Rajaratnam, come on.
Good afternoon, sir. Your talk
Yes,
was
no.
very nice, excellent speech. We enjoyed that. And one thing I want to ask you, sir, if you don't mind, you have mentioned Ramarajya. Gandhi's Ramarajya is different than the original Rama's Rajya. Am I correct, sir? So,
Correct.
in which way it differs? Kindly explain in few words.
Yeah,
Gandhi's
see,
Ramarajya and Ramayana's Ramas.
yeah. See that if you just go by the concept, it looks like very parochial and very conventional things. Actually, Mahatma Gandhi himself stated in one a press meet, Mahatma never practiced the rituals of Hinduism. Mahatma is a spiritualist. We should understand this very carefully. Although he claimed I'm a Hindu, it's a great political strategist. People say, many scholars they say, he's a political strategist. A great political strategist, they say that, because he wanted to keep this majority in his side. Hinduism, he always rallied because keeping the majority in his side. And second thing, the journey started, the non-violent journey started in defense of Muslims. He went to defend Muslims' rights in South Africa. The Muslim, Abdullah, he went. And that way, if you look at, he was equally seeing Muslims, Hindus in the eye of equality. He never had discrimination, but he was playing a game like things. He was playing as if he is sidelining Hinduism because, but I tell you, many people started criticizing Mahatma Ji. This Mahatma is cheating us because he is not practicing the rituals of Hinduism. He never practiced rituals of Hinduism. He only used to read Bhagavad Gita. He went by the advice of various scholars of Hinduism. That's it. He never went. Also, Tolstoy's lessons he taught, Bible lessons he taught, unto the last. He learned from various principles propounded by various religious settings. He was so scientific in his approach because he is being an Indian. He has to attain political freedom in India. Therefore, he highlighted the Ram Rajya for that kind of analysis only highlighted. Ram Rajya for him, Rama was holy man for him. From the childhood onwards, he was taught by mother, and Rama is holy man for him, a holy God. Okay, and what Aristotle and Plato tradition thought about was philosopher kingdom. Do you think that philosophers of today are like gods? We are all philosophers only, academic philosophers. Do you think that you are morally strong? We are not morally strong. Our values are eroding. Our ethics not followed. If perfect individuals you cannot find. So perfection not found means you cannot equalize with God. You cannot equate it with God. That is why Mahatma was very high. God is a concept. Truth is God. God is truth. Very simple understanding. That is the reason why he said, When God is truth and truth is God, vice versa, you cannot be branded to be a God. God, the existence of God is not matter for discussion, he said. He said, one fellow called Mahatma Ji, you are in the form of God, in the human form, you are God. You are God in the human form, he said. No, no, please don't say that. I am not exploring myself. I cannot explore other self like God. True self, he talks about myself and other self. Other self for him, God. In between that, he followed spiritualism. Therefore, I am saying Gandhiji was not a parochialist, chauvinist. He was spiritualist. He adopted certain political strategy during his lifetime and attained the goal. And unless until he has drawn that lessons, from Indian tradition, he would not have attained. That is how I look at actually. It's not that he never adopted certain wrong decision in certain area. Varnashrama, for example, many people will say that he took wrong decisions at court. Of course, he was later on he has realized and he changed his. Similarly, you want sustainable development. Also, he was highlighting this passive resistance and all these things. He differed from his own philosophy later on. That is why he said, whatever I found later, you please accept it. The earlier one you reject, he said. So he was scientific. That way, that is why Arnold Toynbee said, after realizing the Gandhian principle, I am saying this. Arnold Toynbee says, there is no escape from Gandhian civilizations. What we are entering into the new phases, Gandhian civilization. One way, if you look at the world, will realize later on. Maybe it takes 10 years or 15 years or 100 years. But the realization has to be done from the point of view of Mahatma. Then only the escape is there for the world. That is how we have to look. Ram Rajya for him is a global governance. Ram Rajya for him is a new and rule based governance. The holy rule based governance. A perfect person has to come and emerge as a ruler. That governance has to be not in a narrowed way. It has to be global village related way. That is what he said. It's an extension of Sarvodaya. I would say that it's an extension of Sarvodaya. Sarvodaya is welfare of all, not only in Indian setting. As Marx said, communism cannot exist in one geographic locations. But even then, we fought and established Russia, in China, and Cuba, and some other countries. It survived, but not sustainable way. But Mahatma said, welfare of all has to be extended to the extent of Ram Rajya, means global village ruled by right persons, ruled by a holy person, a man who is conscious of welfare of all, not simply for political power, not simply for economic power. So that way you looked at. So this is how the same argument we faced in South Africa also. So many South Africans were asking, why Ram Rajya, Mahatma Gandhi proliferated, this wrong, like that they were highlighting. Then there was interpretation like that. So many Western scholars themselves, they joined in interpretation. So that is why I'm saying this. I'm happy that you asked these questions. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm very happy. So now I'm asking Dr. B.J. Geeta, Associate.
Yes. Yes.
Vote of thanks. Geeta, madam, please.
Yeah.
Geeta, madam. Yes.
Yes, sir, I'm very much happy.
Yes, madam.
It's my pleasure in delivering this vote of thanks. Simple living and high thinking. These are the ideology of Gandhiji, which is very much essential at this COVID-19 juncture. And he also spoke about many of his ideologies, which is living a pluralistic life, and all these kinds of untouchability for that matter. So all these kinds of ideologies are very much relevant for the present world scenario where we are facing all political struggles and everything. At the outset, I feel extremely happy for organizing this wonderful 150th year anniversary of Gandhiji program. And first and foremost, I thank Professor K. Karupaga Kumaravel, our acting Vice Chancellor, for giving his consent in organizing this wonderful program. I also immensely thank Professor SVSS Narayana Rao, sir, this wonderful program. And I immensely thank our registrar ma'am for giving that wonderful introductory talk about the program as well as about the chief guest. And I also thank my colleague, Dr. P. Bhupati, for giving and a about chief guest. And above all, I take my pleasure and I thanks to our chief guest, Professor P. Murthy, nodal officer for this 150th year birth anniversary celebration of Mahatma Gandhi, director of Center for Studies, Dean of School, Dean for School of Social Sciences and International Studies, for accepting our invitation and delivering this work to talk about Gandhi. And in fact, by listening to your talk, what I understood is how much you are affected by Gandhi. Awesome. Thanks for quoting Immanuel Kant, Shakespeare, Karl Marx, and especially about and self-harm. In fact, this two celebration is not enough. We have to celebrate Gandhiji every year because we know that how this world is getting inspiration from Gandhi and philosophy and implementing for uplifting their societies. As descendant of Gandhi, Gandhian philosophy, Gandhian thoughts and ideologies, we need to celebrate, glorify, in a better way than this. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation and giving such a wonderful, after so long time. This is the best talk I ever. Thank you so much.
Now I am concluding the meeting.
Be safe. Yeah. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.